start talking, I'll take the overlay off.
A young woman gave birth to a baby girl on March 1st, 1992, who was born via C section at 34 weeks gestational age. And this baby weighed 4 pounds, 14 ounces. This young woman was exactly 30 days away from her 19th birthday. At the time, this young woman was a manager at McDonald's. Mom and baby spent 1 week in the hospital. Mom spent a second week at home. And the third week, she was back to work. May 1992. Motherhood, milk, diapers became overwhelming. So the young woman realized that she needed a career change. After watching a TV commercial, after watching a TV commercial, after watching a TV commercial, talk about resilience. After watching a TV commercial, she enrolled in a 6-month medical assisting program. November 1992, while she was completing her internship, the school closed and she was not able to graduate. August 1993. A year later, at the recommendation of a friend, she packed up her baby girl and took a 14-hour ride via a Greyhound bus to Clarksdale, Mississippi, where she enrolled in a program to become a nurse. This school had a single parent dorm. And given that she came from a family of nurses, she decided she was going to become a registered nurse. May 20th, 1994. After 1 year of being in Clarksdale, Mississippi, she realized that she needed to return home because she really didn't want to be a nurse, and realized that her daughter, who was now 2 years old, wasn't walking. And she needed to stop ignoring the obvious. She needed to figure out what's wrong with her little girl. July 1994. She took her baby to La Rabida Children's Hospital, multi-specialty clinic, where she was seen by a developmental pediatrician. At the same time, she enrolled in a second medical assistant program. December 1994, she learned that her baby girl was born with congenital cytomegalovirus, was deaf, mute, and according to the doctor, would never walk. Additionally, she was advised to enroll her daughter in an early intervention program, and so she did. While in the program, she received physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, and later, the young woman completed the medical assistant program and became a certified medical assistant. In 1997 of November, this young woman earned a bachelor's degree in healthcare management, and the following year, the baby girl began to walk. That young girl is me. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Lisa L. Campbell, and I want to talk to you today about resilience. This is a topic that is extremely close to my heart. And it's close to my heart because everything I do, I'm fighting against somebody else when I'm trying to impact change. I'm trying to thrive in the face of challenges when it's time for a change. In our time together today, we're going to talk about how you navigate challenges, how you embrace change, so that the end result will be that you can unlock your full potential. So let's dive right in. The first thing that I want to talk about today is understanding resilience. What is resilience? Very simply put, resilience is your ability to adapt, to bounce back, and thrive in the face of adversity or change. Resilience is like a muscle that you can develop and strengthen, but it also becomes a critical asset when you are faced with a critical situation. Now, if you've dealt with some challenges, type a 1 in the chat. If you've dealt with some challenges, type a 1 in the chat. So, resilience is not just one single trait. And trust me, I have had so much resilience in my life. We could be on here talking for decades about resilience. But resilience really consists of multiple components. Number one, adaptability. You must be able to adjust and adapt in order to embrace change. Being flexible in our thinking. Oh, that's a good one. Being flexible in our thinking and our approach allows us to navigate those unexpected situations. And I don't know about you, but those unexpected situations come like a knockout. And I mean, they're coming 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Second, you need to be able to persevere in times of challenge. When I gave birth to my daughter Jasmine, I felt like I could tackle the world. But then once I started to learn about her disabilities, it was like a truck came and literally knocked me out. But perseverance is your ability to keep going, no matter what's happening, no matter the obstacles, no matter the challenges, no matter the setbacks. When you are able to persevere, you will be successful. Now, finally, and this is my favorite, a positive mindset is critical when you're dealing with challenges. Instead of focusing on the challenges, you got to really look at what are some solutions that I can implement to deal with whatever setback is happening. So, how many of you today are dealing with some type of change, some type of adversity? Type me in the chat. Type me in the chat. All right. So I'm going to type me in the chat as well because day after day after day, I feel like there's always something that is challenging me and I have to fight against the inevitable. All right, so now that we understand what resilience is, let's talk about how you build the resilience. Because you know the challenges are not going to go away, but you got to learn how to build them. So, how do you build resilience? Well, number one, you got to reach deep down and find your own personal strength. But secondly, and this is my favorite, you need resources. And this is the last day of Mental Health Awareness Month. And so you made it to the end of the month. So that means that you have a sense of personal strength. Now, I want you to take a moment and think about and reflect on your own strengths. So take a moment and think about your own strengths. And if you're not ashamed, type your strengths in the chat so I can see what they are. Now, I'll tell you, one of my strengths is, and you don't laugh, but one of my strengths is I wake up in the morning with my boxing gloves on, and I tell myself, I'm the best thing that's happened to me. I love on myself. So when I talk about a growth mindset, it's such a powerful tool. If you don't stop learning, if you don't embrace the concept of learning, and I'm not talking about going to school, I'm talking about perhaps reading a book. You have to keep growing so that you can persist to the next stage in your life. So, what's a growth mindset? A growth mindset is the belief that the abilities that you have are enough. Let me say that again. The abilities that you have are enough. They are enough. Now, of course, you need to strengthen them through learning, but embracing a growth mindset, you'll look at those challenges and you'll say, you think you got me? Well, think again. When we view growth and then the setback as an opportunity, we win. We're better prepared to navigate those challenges that come our way. But resilience is also about taking care of you. If you are a mother, a father, a partner, a spouse, a grandmother, a grandfather, an aunt, an uncle, you're a manager, focusing on your own well-being is critical. How many of you will be honest and say that sometimes you neglect you? I'm going to raise my hand. If you neglect yourself sometimes, type me in the chat. If you neglect yourself sometimes, type me in the chat. So, protecting your own personal well-being is critical. It helps you manage your stress. It helps you prioritize your stress. The pandemic was stressful, right? And many people found themselves in situations that they never thought they would see. They had loss. They had illnesses. They had disappointments. And if we're still here today, that means that we definitely are resilient. So, in order to manage your stress effectively, you got to take care of you. That means exercising, getting enough sleep, but also seeking out resources when times are rough. When you implement these types of strategies, what you'll find is that you'll have the foundation that you need to deal with anything that comes your way. So, who's going to make a personal commitment to cultivate your own well being? If that's you, type well being in the chat. If that's you, type well being in the chat. So, now let's talk about how we thrive in the face of change. Let's talk about how we thrive in the face of change. So, number one, thriving is not just about surviving. Let me say that again. Thriving is not just about surviving. It's about really, honestly embracing and excelling during the times that you're faced with change. And it really starts with that mindset. Every time you have a setback, a disappointment, a failure, you have to see it as an opportunity to grow. What did I not do in that situation? For example, if you were supposed to be at a job interview at 9 a.m. and you pull into the parking lot at 8:55 to try to figure out which way you need to go, that's an opportunity for growth. Because if you need to be at the interview in the place you're supposed to be at 9 o'clock, that means at least 30 minutes before you should have parked your car or got off of public transportation and in the place where you're supposed to be. So you can let them know, I'm here and I'm ready to accept this responsibility. Now, nothing in life is perfect, right? Things will happen. Even as we in the studio here were preparing for tonight's session, something always goes wrong. So I got one or two options. One, I can just shut down the live and disappear and put my pillow in my face and cry, or I can keep moving. But I also have to take a step back and do what they call the lessons learned. What did I learn today for next time? And it's very important to capture lessons learned immediately, because that's when you can execute and be better the next time, but not perfect. All right, so when we're navigating uncertainty, who's been navigating uncertainty lately? Who's been navigating uncertainty later? So if you've been navigating uncertainty, you have to develop problem-solving skills. Somebody type in the chat, problem-solving skills. Problem-solving skills. Problem-solving skills are so important, but you got to execute them at the right time. For example, if you're driving to an interview and you get there 5 minutes before, you leave yourself little time to problem solve, because you're trying to lock your car, remember your stuff, get inside. So you have to develop skills that allows you to make informed decisions when you're in the midst of change. But you can't do that if you're flustered. So, the other skill that I like to have is goals, setting realistic goals and then creating an action plan. So, there's this term, SMART goals. The goals have to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely or time bound. So when you have some goals in mind and you're going to create an action plan, you have to make sure that the goals you select are in alignment with your mission and your vision. Has to be in alignment with whatever the thing is that you're trying to achieve. So last Wednesday, I talked about becoming an adjunct professor. And honestly, the reason that I did that topic is because I had so many people asking me, well, how do you become an adjunct professor? And so after last week's session, if that's something that you wanted to do and still want to do, you got to put together an action plan to get to that goal. Now, as a person who puts together lots of action plans, let me just tell you, you are going to have challenges. And sometimes those challenges are just hitting you left, right, over and over and over again. But what you have to develop is the ability to just get back up and keep going. If it's something that you really want to do, you will put in the work to learn it. Sometimes we say we want some things, but we don't put in the work. Somebody type in the chat, put in the work. Put in the work. Put in the work. So I'm almost done today, and I wanted to leave you with some of the things that I do. So I want to give you some practical tools and techniques. Number one, relaxation. Everybody relaxes differently. For me, I like to read a book. Others may want to watch TV. Others may exercise. Others may call a friend. Whatever it is that you need to do to help you relax, make it a regular part of your routine. Remember, I talked about self-care? I think sometimes we kind of overcomplicate self-care. Some people will say, well, self-care is a massage or having a spa day. Well, what if you're at a point in your life where you can't afford to do those things? You have to have something that you can do that provides you with the ability to relax, release, relate, refuel, so you can come back even stronger. So relaxation is one technique. And another one is mindfulness. Now, I have to admit, this Apple Watch, it's a little bossy. It tells me several times throughout the day that I need to take a moment and breathe for just 60 seconds. And while I don't practice mindfulness as much as I should, it's definitely on my top priority of list of things to do. So relaxation, mindfulness, and then the third one is effective time management. When you're trying to be resilient, you gotta prioritize, maximize the time that you have, but then also you gotta set some boundaries. One boundary that I have set for myself is that I don't always have to say yes when I'm asked to do something, especially if it's something that I really don't want to do. Additionally, when you establish effective time management strategies, you'll open up your world for, for growth, but also it'll allow you to have some balance in your life. One thing about me, I don't like to rush when I'm about to do something. That makes me uneasy. And so, what do? I don't rush. I do like my grandfather says, if you're on time, you're late. So I'm early for what I need to do so that I can get there and I can relax and I'm ready to execute whatever task I am supposed to do. All right, so type in the chat time management, time management. And speaking of time management, this session is only supposed to be 30 minutes. And so now I want to see what questions do you all have about resilience? What questions do you all have about resilience? And while you're looking at that, I want to just give a couple of parting words. Change, change brings opportunities and challenges. Change brings about opportunities and challenges. But the question is, how are you going to attack those challenges and opportunities? And sometimes, a lot of times, I'm about to step on some toes. The problem is you. You aren't willing to change. And if you're not willing to change, you won't grow. Or I shouldn't say you won't grow. You'll grow, but you'll grow at a slower pace. And so I see some folks are talking about time management, being in my own way. Sometimes you got people in your way. This is sad, but sometimes the people that are closest to you, your friends, your family, they don't want to see you grow. And so they put roadblocks in front of you intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes they don't even know they're doing it. Sometimes it's their own insecurities that's making them stunt your growth. And you got to recognize that sometimes it's not you, it's them. But then the question is, what are you going to do about it? So in the chat, I see someone's talking about they're focusing more on prioritizing your growth. Because I don't know about you, the pandemic has shown us that something can happen in the blink of an eye and our life will change. And then also, you got to realize that something that somebody else sees as an emergency may not be an emergency for you. All right, so I see a couple of comments coming in the chat, and it is 30 minutes on the dot. So we will be in the chat, seeing if there were any additional comments afterwards. But I want to just summarize some key takeaways, and then I'm going to be done. So we've talked about resilience and navigating change. Change is all around us. It's going to happen. But building a growth set can really help you thrive in the times where you're uncertain about the road ahead of you. Resilience is a skill that we can learn if we're willing. So that mindset, it can be learned, it can be developed if we have the mindset, a growth mindset to accompany us on the journey. But you can't do that by itself. You have to figure out, where are my opportunities for growth? Seek those out, embrace change with an open mind, and you will find that your load will get just a little bit lighter. Well, everyone, that is all for tonight. My name is Dr. Lisa L. Campbell. It is a pleasure to see you again, and I'll see you next week.